You spent over 15,000 hours in a classroom. You learned history. You learned science. You learned how to solve equations that you have never used a single day in your life. But nobody, not one single teacher, not one single lesson, ever taught you how money actually works. And that was not an accident. My name is Sticky, and today we are going to open up the one institution that nobody wants to put on trial, the school system, and exactly how it was designed to keep ordinary people broke. Sticky was a good student. He showed up every single day. He paid attention. He passed every exam they put in front of him, and his teachers told him the same thing every single year. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable job, work hard, and everything will work out just fine. Sticky believed them. Why would he not? These were educated people who had dedicated their entire lives to helping young people succeed. At 21 years old, Sticky graduated. Proud, excited, and ready for the world. He had a diploma. He had knowledge. And he had absolutely no idea how money worked. Within 3 years of graduating, Sticky had a job, a salary, a credit card, a student loan, and zero savings. He was doing everything he was taught to do, and it was slowly, quietly, destroying his financial future. Here is the first thing school never taught Sticky: how compound interest works against you. When Sticky was 22, he got his first credit card. $3,000 limit. He thought it was free money for emergencies. What nobody told him was that his credit card charged 22% interest every single year. And that interest charged interest on top of itself every single month. Sticky spent $1,500 on that card. He paid the minimum every month, just like millions of people do every single day without realizing what it is costing them. 5 years later, Sticky had paid back over $2,200 and still owed $900. That $1,500 purchase ended up costing him over $3,100 total, more than double what he originally spent. School taught him quadratic equations, but never this. Here is the second thing school never taught Sticky: the difference between an asset and a liability. What is the difference between an asset and a liability? Most people who went through 12 years of school cannot answer that question, because school never taught it. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. That is it. That's simple. 2 sentences that would have changed everything. When Sticky bought a new phone on finance, that was a liability. Money was flowing out of his pocket every month. When someone buys a small rental property that pays them monthly income, that is an asset. Money flows in. Wealthy people spend their lives collecting assets. Ordinary people spend their lives collecting liabilities and calling them assets. Sticky kept buying liabilities for years, thinking he was getting ahead, because school never taught him the difference. Here is the third thing school never taught Sticky: how taxes really work. When Sticky got his very first real paycheck, he expected to see his full salary sitting there waiting for him. What he saw instead was a long list of deductions: income tax, national insurance, pension contributions, healthcare levy. By the time everything was taken out, Sticky was taking home about 65 cents for every single dollar he earned. Nobody had prepared him for this. School taught him how to earn money, but never how much of it he would actually get to keep. And here is the part that really matters. Wealthy people understand the tax system deeply. They use completely legal methods, business expenses, investments, pension contributions, to keep significantly more of what they earn. Sticky had no idea any of this was even possible, because school never told him. Here is the fourth and most important thing school never taught Sticky: how to make money work for you. School taught Sticky one way to make money: work. Trade your time for a salary. Show up, do the job, get paid. And there is nothing wrong with working hard. Nothing at all. But school never taught Sticky that time is finite. There are only 24 hours in a day. You can only work so many of them. At some point, your time runs out. And if your money is not working while you rest, you have nothing left. Wealthy people figured out something that school never once mentions: money can work for you while you sleep. A simple index fund investment grows whether Sticky is awake or asleep. A rental property generates income whether Sticky is working or resting. A dividend stock pays him every single quarter regardless of what he is doing that day. This is called passive income, and it is possibly the single most important financial concept in the world. Sticky spent 15,000 hours in school. Not 1 hour, not one single lesson, was spent on this. So why does school not teach any of this? That is the question that nobody in power wants to answer. The modern school system was not designed to create wealthy, independent thinkers. It was designed during the industrial age to create reliable workers, people who would show up on time, follow instructions without questioning them, and spend their wages back into the economy like clockwork. School teaches you to be an excellent employee. It does not teach you to be a wealthy person. And those are two very different things. The difference between them is the financial knowledge that school deliberately leaves out. Compound interest, assets versus liabilities, how taxes actually work, how to make money work for you. For lessons, that would have changed everything for Sticky. That would change everything for millions of people living right now exactly the way Sticky was living. Never taught, never mentioned, not even once. But here's the good news. You do not need school to teach you anymore. The information exists. It is available to anyone willing to look for it. Start learning how compound interest works for you and not against you. Learn the difference between an asset and a liability and start choosing assets deliberately. Understand your tax situation and what you are legally allowed to keep more of. And start small with passive income. Even $50 a month invested consistently will change your future in ways you cannot yet imagine. The version of you that learns these 4 things today is going to look completely different in 10 years from the version of you that never does. School had its chance to tell you this. It did not. But now you know. Every week on this channel, we cut open another financial truth that the system never wanted you to see. Before you go, I want to ask you one thing. What is one thing about money that you wish school had taught you? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. This has been Money Autopsy. The truth about where your money really goes.